What's up, Norberg Nation? How's it going? So in today's video, we are going to be reviewing that last to fourth race that you guys have already seen quite a bit on my channel. It actually got quite a few views, and there's quite a few of you guys that asked me to review that race. This race is the United States Pro Kart Series round number 8 at Newcastle Motorsports Park, the national layout. This is one of my favorite layouts because it allows you to do awesome stuff like this. If you start in the back, you still get an amazing opportunity to come through the field. And this racetrack just always leads to some great racing. But before we get into the video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot knowing that you guys are supporting the content and the videos that I'm creating for you guys. But enough with that, let's get started with the video. So obviously we're starting this race because of that pre-final crash that you guys have watched. Looking back, you know, there's a lot of stuff you could do differently, but we're not going to look at that. We're just going to go straight into this race. I'm trying to keep a hesitant start, trying to give myself a little bit of space because I don't want to get caught up in an accident. Because I know this racetrack, you know, you can come from the back, you can do a lot of laps, and you can make up a lot of time on drivers, and you still have a shot at winning this race. So I don't want to get caught up in an early race start. That 331 is being really aggressive and is kind of driving in the bumper of drivers in front of him. I was, you know, wanting to go to the inside of him in the first couple corners there, but because of how deep he was going in the middle of the corner, obviously never really got the opportunity to, and so I just stayed behind him. Opportunity arose, and I took that spot. I'm back on the bumper of the 300 right now. I'm going to look in this next right-hander, so we go through this left-hander right here. I'm going to look in this right-hander and make the pass. That driver opens up, gives me a good opportunity, and I'm already moving through a couple drivers. Not the best start that I've ever had. I mean, obviously on the first laps you want to make a few more spots than that, but you know, we'll take it. Going down this back straightaway, a little bit of jostling between a couple of drivers allowed me to get to the inside of the 395. Took him into this corner here, and now we've passed about 3 or 4 karts, and that's a good start. I mean, it's not the best start, but you know, it's a start. Obviously, because we're starting so far back, we changed the setup a little bit to help with that, and we kind of sacrificed our straightaway for more corner exit speed. So in that situation where the driver pulled over on the straightaway, I wasn't really able to take advantage of it as well because we just didn't have the top end to do it. Big issue that is happening is these drivers are blocking like crazy, and it's just creating big pockets between the packs of drivers. And right now I've caught the 345 and I want to go in this right hand right there, but I can't because they're blocking so hard. And so for me, it's just a matter of trying to find any opportunity that I can in making a pass. If there's a door open, I have to be able to take advantage of it, and I have to go because I can't deal with the laps where I'm just going to be driving alone because of these big pockets that are being created. Right here, that 345 gets a little bit antsy and drives into the back of the 369. Because of that, you know, he ends up going a little bit wide. I'm able to get him, and then I'm going down the straightaway, and I'm able to get the 369 as well. Kind of signal to the driver on the exit of the corner to work with me a little firmly, and he decides that that's the best option for him as well, and so he starts pushing me down the straightaway. I knew I didn't have that straightaway speed that they did. I knew I had it off the corner, so if I made it to this part of the lap, I'd be fine. But I knew, you know, the only opportunity they're going to have to pass me back is on that straightaway, and so signaled to him, and he ended up working with me. This is what I was talking about the track just being, you know, having these big pockets of space. And this is terrible when you're coming through the field. When drivers are blocking, you know, it helps you in one sense because it's keeping everybody kind of stacked up, but it creates these big pockets where you're going to be driving by yourself for 2 or 3 laps. And when, you know, there is a bigger field and there's only 18 laps, you need to be passing 1 or 2 drivers a lap. And when you have 2 or 3 laps where you're alone, now that number increases to 4 or 5 drivers a lap pretty quickly. And so this is an instance where this isn't very good for my race, and I'm really having to just play catch up and really catch up to these drivers. Luckily, you know, it's only taking about a lap. They're racing really hard as well, so that's allowing me to stay, you know, catch up quite a bit faster. But it still is a lap wasted that I'm not spending, you know, going and catching the leaders. And now we're entering into turn number 2 right now, and you can see the drivers are, you know, fighting pretty hard, and that's allowing me to catch up again. Like I said, I'm trying to keep an eye out on the leaders because that's obviously, you know, what I always say when I'm coming through is make sure you're keeping an eye on the leaders if you can. Driver goes to the inside right there. He doesn't necessarily clear the 335, and right here I thought to go to the inside with him, but you know, he went in with so much speed that I saw that he was going to be carrying too much momentum in the middle of the corner. I decided to back it up, get a good run, and was able to get the 335 at the same time. Wanted to go there, but I didn't really get the best run off the corner. But as we go down in the hairpin, I get a good run. I'm able to get it going into this hairpin right here. A lot of the drivers I was racing against were really respectful towards me. They knew that I was coming from behind and that I wasn't necessarily, you know, in their race. And so some of these drivers I was able to pass and they pushed me. They also knew that I had some pace and it would be better to, you know, follow me. Going down the straightaway, I get a good run on a 318, but again, I just can't pull out. You hit the rev limiter too soon, and at that point, you're just, you know, kind of sitting right there. He goes to the inside of a driver here, and so I'm looking sometimes in the 4 when they swing open, you can get this driver. He swung open really wide, and I was able to go on that driver in turn number 4. A big thing that I've stressed on about you know, coming through the field is that momentum, and you want to be keeping like your pace going forward. You just want to find a rhythm. You want to be able to find a spot where, you know, you're able to make passes, know where your kart's faster, and make strong passes. Right through this section, because of the way we set up the go-kart, this corner especially, I was always getting good runs on drivers, and so that was a spot where I was always picking to make passes just because I was getting a good run. Right here wasn't the best move. I don't know what I was thinking. I had no room there. I was just, you know, getting a little desperate because I saw these drivers blocking so much. And so I went to the inside there and kind of rode the curb, and it just wasn't a smart move. Right here, I pushed a 323. He gets, you know, not the best run off the corner, but I kind of make up for that. He's deciding he's going to go to the inside, so I'm just going to follow him through there. The driver on the outside just kind of backs out and gives up that spot. I'm going to look right here to go on the 323. I came a little bit wider off that corner just to, in the hopes that he'd swing out. He didn't, so I ended up having to sit behind him again. He's looking pretty racy. He's going to look to the inside right there. I'm not going to push him through because that's just going to cause an accident. I'm going to get, you know, a penalty for that. But I'm just trying to set up so I can take advantage of one of these guys on the exit of the corner. This corner especially, again, this is where I'm really strong. We set up to be strong through this section, so I know, you know, if I'm going to make something work, that's the corner I need to do it in. And right there, I make the pass happen. Again, what I was talking about finding that rhythm, you need to understand that there's some times where, you know, you need to back up a little bit. Even if you're on the bumper of the driver in front of you, you might want to back up a little bit so you can get the run to pass that driver. And actually off of that hairpin, I'll show it again, but I come off the corner and actually press the brake a little bit just to slow up my run because I was going to run over the driver before I actually even made it into the corner. So because I hit the brakes, it allowed me that separation, and I was able to get the run and make the move cleanly. And now we're heading down the main straightaway here, catching the drivers in front of me. Again, I'm looking forward, and the drivers up front, they were racing really hard in the beginning of the race. Go to the inside of a driver right there. That was just one of those, you know, momentum passes. When you get a good run on a driver, you have to be able just to flow with it. And right there, he kind of set up a lot for that corner, is able to flow through the corner and make up a position right there. But like I was saying, you want to be paying attention to the leaders, and they're racing really hard in the beginning of the race. And towards the end of the race, there's kind of a separation that grew out. And again, that's the last thing you want to see when you're coming through the field, because that separation is just killing you and it's just eating away laps that you need. And right here you can see this is going to take me a few laps to catch this driver, and then another few laps to catch the drivers in front of me. And so yeah, this is what's basically killing my race at this point, because we have a really fast go-kart, but you know, all this separation is what's basically ending our chances. So about half a lap has gone by and I was able to catch up to this driver. We go into this corner, I catch a little bit on the brakes. You can see his kart's starting to fall off a little bit because he's running a bit wide off of all the corners. Right there, you know, he opens up wide. This wasn't necessarily the corner that I was the fastest in, but when he opened up wide like that, I knew that it was a good opportunity for me to go by. I probably should have waited again, you know, and done it in a little better spot, especially this corner that I'm going through right now, just because you don't lose as much time. That's something else that you want to pay attention to when you're coming through the field. You want to make sure you're passing in spots where you're not losing a lot of time. And that was a corner where I lost a lot of time. So didn't want to really be doing that. And so again, this is that killer right here. There's that space again between these drivers. And this one's bigger than the last gap. And obviously the further you go up in the field, the faster the drivers are going to be. And this one right here takes me quite a few laps to catch up to those next couple drivers. So 3 laps have gone by and I have caught this driver in front of me. Again, this is a good spot for me. I'm really fast right there. The driver kind of slides a little bit in the middle of the corner. And that just gave me a good opportunity to make that pass. Yeah, I mean, it was a good pass, nice and easy. At this point of the race, everybody's spread out. Their tires are either falling off or they're catching up to the other drivers. So it's really about, you know, just trying to get the right rhythm. He made a little bit of a mistake there in the middle of the corner. I got a bit sideways and I was able to take advantage of it. Pretty simple. Again, just getting our head back down and trying to catch those drivers in front of them. So a couple laps have gone by again, and we have caught another group of drivers. We're starting to inch up towards them. Right here, a driver drops the tires and goes out wide. You know, he probably could have come back across. That's why I gave him a thumbs up. He could have come back across and cut me off pretty hard. But again, these drivers were racing me very respectfully and giving me quite a bit of room. And in that moment, he came off. He could have really screwed me up and started defending. But he gave me the space, so I really appreciate that. And again, we're just back to doing laps, trying to catch one driver at a time. So we've closed that gap up again, and you can see the driver in first is pretty much gone. That's Hayden Jones. He had a killer race, super fast, and so he's pretty much gone at this point. I think there's only like 4 or 5 laps left. I'm, you know, keeping track of that on my dash. I catch the 359. Again, this is a great spot for me. This is my favorite spot of the racetrack. Get a good run into here, going pretty late into the corner, and was able to get that pass done pretty well. Again, I signaled to the driver, you know, let's work together, let's try and move forward and catch these other drivers. But you can see what that one pass did to me. I mean, it wasn't even like it was that crazy of a pass, but it created more separation again, and that's where you really need to be focusing when you're coming through the field. Making clean passes that are easy to do, don't lose a lot of time, are always the best. Because that's just going to help you out so much by the end of the race. Because now we've got, you know, 4 or 5 laps left. Those 5-6 laps that I did chasing down drivers would have come in handy at this point. I really would have loved to have had those back. But you don't get that luxury, obviously. So head down and just chase these drivers back down. So now we've caught this final pack of drivers, and my biggest concern was that once they saw me, they're going to start blocking pretty hard. Right here, they go to the inside, and I thought, you know, maybe I could make something happen in all this chaos. Tried to go to the inside there in turn number 2. It just didn't work out really well. He held the outside. Didn't want to crash, obviously, because it's, you know, I worked so hard to get back up through the field. So just trying to keep my head clean and head down and trying to make some good, solid passes. I'm thinking about maybe in this corner, but they get a good run off that corner. And so now I'm like, I'm just going to go back to my same corner where I'm really good in. I know this section I'm fast. You can see I'm closing up on the driver over the curb, and now I'm just going to look to the inside again. This is a corner I do really well in. And that's what I was saying about finding a rhythm. If you have a corner that you know you're fast in, and that you know this is the spot, you can almost just wait to that corner every single lap, and you're always going to get a pass. And in this case, it was one of those things where I didn't have it through the first portion of the lap, just waited to that one spot where I'm consistently quick and just make it work. Obviously, we're catching the leaders now, the last 2 guys. This is the battle for the podium. And my biggest logic behind my reasoning, you know, in a lot of the passes I make here, is that I believe that once they noticed I was behind them, they're going to start blocking again, just because of the way they drove me throughout the week. And you kind of do see that, is that once they do notice that I'm there, and you see the look back, they've got space. Once they do notice I'm there, they do start defending. And so at that point, he looked back. I thought he didn't really think that I was there. And I don't think he does necessarily, as close as I think I am. And so I want to really catch this driver off guard. I want to hopefully, you know, pass him without him knowing before he starts blocking. Right there, I go in really late, and he just defends. He turns down a little bit, you know, and defends, and that was the worst part of my race, because at this point, they literally signaled to each other to work together and just to not, you know, let me pass. He starts blocking, and with 1 lap to go, there's really not a lot that I can do. I should have waited, you know, 1 more corner and just passed in the next corner, because at that point, I probably would have had a good run. And right there, again, that's that gear just maxing out, and I wasn't able to do anything once I got to him. And he just defends for the rest of the race. I had my corner, and I had that spot that I was really comfortable with, and I just got too comfortable with it, and I thought I could just make another pass there just because I've been making passes that whole race, and that wasn't the case. You know, I got antsy. I didn't wait. I should have had more patience. There's only 1 lap to go after this, so I was, you know, wanting to make something work because I thought, you know, if I didn't make this pass, I wasn't going to have a shot at second. But basically, I made that pass and had no shot of getting on the podium. But you live and you learn. You know, I'm still learning to this day. 14 years into the sport, you know, it's something I'm still learning. Got to keep your emotions underneath you. You know, you got to stay in control, because if you let yourself, get your emotions get too hot and you just want to make passes just because you're antsy, that's not it. You know, you've got to make sure you're making the right passes. But that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to follow me on my Instagram, my Facebook, and my TikTok. I post a lot of awesome racing content on there as well, so make sure you follow those. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.